Hey there! So it's the time of the year when people are preparing for their summer, hoping to get to the top of Africa, Kilimanjaro. So I thought I would give my top tips on training. Another topic where people are stressing over, how much do we need to do we need to do anything? So these are my top tips. So when it came to planning, I had a look at my guide's itinerary for the 8-day Lemosha route and pretty much broke it down into the different elements that would be expected. So when you look at the itinerary, you can see that it's 8 consecutive days of hiking. So that's going to be important, continuous hiking day by day by day. The maximum number of hours on any of the days, they note down it could be up to 14 hours, and the maximum number of mileage could be up to 10 miles on a particular day. So that's what I worked towards. Also when it came to backpacks and day packs, when you look across all of the different tour guides, they talk about day packs ranging in around 15 pounds. So those were the elements that I thought I needed to achieve, build into the training to make sure I was successful on the mountain. So for me, when it came to the actual physical training, I didn't step foot in a gym. That's probably quite controversial, but for me, I did think about it, and then I decided, no, we're going to do it all out on the trails. Now, for everybody that might not work because it depends what's available, whether you're in a city, you might not have too many trails close by, so it's not going to be for everybody. So if you do have the option, I would say go for the trails rather than the gym. A couple of reasons for that. The first thing is you will be out experiencing the weather. So some days you're going to have to just struggle through the rain, the wind, it might be cold. The other thing as well is you're going to test all your gear. So you're going to test your gloves and your hat and your sun hat and all the different bits of kit that you're going to need for different types of weather, because Kilimanjaro will range from incredibly cold to incredibly warm very quickly, and you have to make those switches. In a gym, you're not going to have to deal with that. The other thing as well is the terrain. So on a mountain, you will maybe go over rocks, maybe over scree, maybe on a mountainside, lots of different types of terrain, and Kilimanjaro is very, very varied. The other thing I would say about out on a trail is every meter of elevation, you have to come back down that meter of elevation. So a lot of people worry about the descent on Kilimanjaro because everybody's training for the ascent, but out on a trail, you don't have an option. Every meter you have to come back down it, so you're automatically training for both up and down. The other thing I'm going to say is there's a certain amount of mental resilience and mental toughness that comes with out on a trail, because if you are out for the day and you've hiked 2-3 hours away from your car or where you live, there's no option to flick the switch and stop training for the day. You have to make it back to your car. You got to make it back. You have to dig deep. You have to get on with it, whether you're aching, whether you're sore, whether it's raining quite heavily, whether you've run out of water or run out of snacks. You just have to dig deep and get on with it. So there is a certain amount of discipline and resilience that comes with physically getting out into nature. There's no, I'm going to take a break for today and that's it for the week. You have to make it back to the start of the trail. So by doing that over and over and over, you quickly learn how your kit works, you quickly learn what you need for a day, and you quickly learn how to dig deep when you need to. So when it came to training for a weighted backpack, I decided to invest in some of these weighted plates that you can pop into your backpack. These are really good. I was able to basically over a 6-month period go from basically no extra weight other than what I would carry in a day pack for hiking. I then increased that by increments from 10 to 15, 15 to 20, 20 25, and 25 to 30. So I increased my backpack weight up to an additional 30 pounds, which basically my idea was to go double than what the recommended day pack weight would be on the trail. So 15 pounds I was reading across different travel companies, and that's, to be fair, that is correct, because you're going to have your water, your snacks, your extra layers, things of that nature, maybe 2 liters of water, maybe 3. So I trained for 30 pounds of extra weight. So when we were on the trail, then the weight was a lot less. But these plates are really good. I tried to increase the weight through items, putting things into your backpack, but the backpack was too small to increase the weight. So these are really good for maximizing that resistance. Also, they increase the resistance on my muscles. So my legs would feel it, my arms would feel it, my shoulders would feel it. But yeah, these are really good just to top up your backpack. I trained to 30 pounds of extra weight. You might need to do less, but it worked for me. So when it came to the long hikes, long distances, so the 14 hours potentially and the 10 miles on the longest day, I built in long hikes. So I would go on long hikes on my days off and the weekends, between 7 to 10 miles. I built it up from 7 miles up to 10 miles, and that increased the intensity as time went on. But I'd always been hiking prior to that, so if you are starting from scratch, you're going to have to build that up. But in terms of the endurance of my legs, very, very important on those long days and those continuous 8 days in a row. So the other thing I built in then was some intense cardio. Go for jogs with a backpack a number of times a week, midweek generally, just to supplement my long hikes. And that was really just a factor in the altitude. The altitude in Ireland is no higher than 1,000 meters. So to go all the way up to just shy of 6,000 meters, basically I focused on increasing the resistance. So rather than just going out for a jog, I would go out for a jog with a backpack on, with a certain weight in it. And that would create the resistance, and it also improved my endurance in my legs, because my legs were carrying more weight than myself. So the other key principle of training is the consecutive nature of Kilimanjaro. So on the 8-day Lemosha route, that was 8 days, every morning getting up and be hiking by 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning. So the only way to replicate that is by doing it. And when we got to summit night, very, very important that I was able to dig deep into those reserves. So I found that worked perfectly. So all of those moments in your training will all come back when you're in Africa. When those doubts start to creep in, when you're maybe not feeling too good, maybe you're starting to ache, your breathing, the elevation. Once it all starts to creep in, those are the moments where in your mind you can tell yourself that you've done it. You've done 10 miles one day, got up the next day, done another 10 miles. We've been here before, it can be done, and we're going to do this. And that's the key to success. The key to success is the patterns that you've developed in training. When you come up against the same thing in Africa, then you can give yourself that pep talk. You can draw upon that experience, draw upon training that you've done, and then you can relax and keep going. So apart from the physical exercise of training for Kilimanjaro, there are other things that you need to be aware of. When I was researching everything, basically I was picking up information on hydration, on electrolytes, on snacks, on heart rates, all of these different things that you would potentially overlook. So when it came to training, I used 2 separate devices just to track progress. I had a mileage app on my phone, and basically just tracked my miles as I went along. And the idea was just so that you knew how many miles you were doing every week, every month, and on every hike, and just really try to increase that and the intensity as much as possible. The other thing I used was a Polar watch tracker, and it basically just counted steps, but the main reason for getting this was so I could track my heart rate. So I did a bit of research on heart rate zones, and there's so much information out there, but I basically just kept it simple, trying to get my heart into a certain zone. Also, when it came to endurance, keeping my heart rate in lower zones for long periods of time. So what I found was, over time, hiking long distances for many hours improved. So something was happening. I don't know the full ins and outs of the science, but I would say invest in something. Polar watches, very budget friendly. I didn't invest in a Garmin or anything of that nature, or Apple. Basically, Polar was very budget friendly, and it did the job. When you get to Kilimanjaro, the tour guide that I used would test our heart rate every morning and every evening. So my heart rate before we started the trek was under 80. It was like 76 beats per minute, and it continued like that for a huge period of time. Even with the elevation, it was still in around the 80 beats per minute. So I guess from a fitness point of view, you can track how fit and healthy your heart is in terms of beats per minute, and also train in certain zones, which I found was helpful. And over a long period of time, 3 to 6 months of training, I was able to increase my endurance, increase my distance and time of hiking on a particular day. So in terms of technology, I kept it very simple. How many miles are we doing? What zone are we training in? And what's our heart rate? And that was it. So our big training topic is your kit, and there is no substitute for getting out there with your kit. You need to know that the kit works, every zip, every pocket, also that everything goes over each other, because you're going to be dealing in layers for some at night and most days. So you got to get out and train your kit. One thing not to ignore is snacks and your water as well. So if you're deciding to go for an Nalgene bottle for your water or your bladder, make sure you know how to use it, that you have used it, that it actually works for you, and that you like it. I did test a water bladder, but decided not to go with it. I basically went with Nalgene bottles because of the taste of the tube. So that was something I picked up from my training. In terms of snacks, do they work for you? Do you feel full after some of the, if you're going to go for a gel, or if you're going to go for some of the cliff blocks? What works for you? Because if you're on the trail for 3-4 hours, eventually I get to the point where I need something solid rather than just gels and water. So again, what works for you? Your electrolytes. I use these SOS ones. So you don't want to be putting something in your water that isn't going to work for you when you're all the way in Africa. So test your flavors out, test what works for you. Again, this would be on everything. So if you haven't tested whether it's electrolytes, water, gels, food in your training, then that could cause a problem when you're in Africa. So test all of that, make sure there's no surprises, that you know what these flavors are going to taste like once you put them in. And flavors can taste different after 1 hour, 2 hour hiking in the bright sunshine and you're dehydrated. These things can taste different at that point, so test them all out, make sure they work for you. Now the other thing then to keep in mind is the fact you're going to be camping for 8 days. So you want to make sure that you have tried to camp. There's no point in going to Kilimanjaro. The last time you camped was 10 years ago. So get yourself out camping and see how that feels. What are you going to need for your sleeping? Do you need a warmer sleeping bag? Do you need a camp pillow for your neck? Are you going to need earplugs to block out the noise? What do you need? The other thing to keep in mind is, one example is my glasses. So when you're asleep in a tent, how do you keep things like that safe, so that they're there, not damaged in the morning. So the logistics of a tent, you're gonna have to deal with that for 8 days in a row, an 8-day Lemosha route. So I would say you got to get out and camp at least one night just to test that out, see what you need, see what doesn't work, and see how you're going to manage the logistics and the admin, if you like, of tent life. So when it came to lifestyle, I think that's an important aspect as you prepare for Kilimanjaro. For the final 3 months leading up to my hike was in August time, I basically concentrated on getting as healthy as possible. So eating properly, trying to cook fresh, as much nutrients as possible. So the training itself, the physical activity, was week by week, day by day. It was taking its course. But it was important to make sure I was eating properly, making sure I was getting enough fresh food as possible, staying hydrated, but also the other things, sleep, important. I started to go to bed a lot earlier, making sure I was getting at least 8 hours per night, just so I was fully rested, and with the physical activity, making sure my body was repairing properly. When it came to alcohol, controversial topic, but I cut out all alcohol for 2 months prior to the hike. So over 60 days, 8 weeks roughly, it was just week by week by week, no alcohol, sleeping properly, getting the right nutrition, the right hydration. Save the alcoholic drink for the success of the achievement afterwards when you reach the top of Africa. But for that last couple of months, get your head down, get your lifestyle very disciplined, and you'll thank yourself when you achieve and conquer the top of Africa. So the other thing to factor in is the psychological aspect of an expedition of this size. One thing I started to build into my routine was some Wim Hof breathing exercises. So for anybody who hasn't heard of Wim Hof, loads of videos online, a lot of mountaineers use it. And really I started to build it into my sleep routine, just so that I could drift off to sleep. And it was very important when you're in your tent and it's day 3 or 4 and you're not able to sleep. I find it very, very important to be able to relax and just to be able to drift off to sleep. But because I had started to introduce it into my lifestyle a couple of months prior to the hike, when it got to that night that I couldn't fall asleep, it was second nature and I was able to get a good night's sleep. So it worked for me. Probably won't work for everybody, but it is something when it comes to breathing exercises. When you're in the middle of Africa and you're on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th day and you're panicking or getting a bit anxious about whether you can achieve this and do this and keep going, it's very important to be able to just relax, get your breathing in place, and especially for summit night. Summit night was the first time where my breathing, I had to really concentrate on it as the altitude gained, the oxygen saturation decreased. So yeah, so get some breathing exercises in place. That's something that I did, and I'm grateful for it. Now, as I approach the trip to Tanzania to take on Kilimanjaro, I decided to pencil in a challenge event. And this was just really to test my fitness, test where I was, and I guess this could go both ways. If you don't achieve the challenge event, then it's probably poor for morale, but I was successful, so it was a great morale boost. But it is something that you want to maybe factor in, is just to test where exactly you are in terms of your fitness. So I took part in a local orienteering challenge, and that was over 19 miles in length. It was over 2,000 in elevation and descent, and it was also over 11-12 hours of time. So those were my indicators of, was Kilimanjaro doable, and I was successful. and that gave me a great morale booster. So I would say, as you approach your date for your hike, enter yourself into something, or just test yourself and go out for a day's hiking and see where exactly you are in terms of your fitness. For me, it was a great morale booster. I was able to bring that into Kilimanjaro, and on summit night to be able to push through and achieve the top. Welcome to the Sperrins in Ireland, County Tyrone. And this is where the dream of Kilimanjaro came alive. So many early mornings on this trail, and evenings, and many a sunrise. As you can see, the sun is out for us. But this trail, as you can see, steep inclines, it's a forest track, and it was just perfect for some midweek cardio. And basically I would come here 3 mornings every week, and at least, and I would do 3 miles, which would take about an hour. So, and it all just took a bit of discipline just before work. So up early, set the alarm, get your gear on, and go. And this is the backpack. I would do this with 30 pounds weight. So the 3 plates, total 30 pounds. We'd have our hiking gear on, and we would go off for a 1 hour, 3 miles, at least 3 times a week. That turned into 4 and 5 times a week as time went on. But basically, that's what was supplementing the long hikes at the weekend. And not only was I walking this trail, but I would walk the pretty much the first sections up, all the way up this slope. And this was actually great because when we got to Kilimanjaro, the starting early in the morning with some elevation, especially on summit night, just to be hit with that steepness first thing as you've rolled out of bed in the morning. I remember looking back going, all those mornings, fantastic. And I would basically then, as the hour would go on, the 3 miles, I would run or jog the downhills, and eventually that turned into jogging some of the uphills as well. And I would only do an hour, 3 miles, and I must have done this loop over and over again, to the point I knew every corner, every song that was going to come on my playlist, and we just smashed it over and over and over. And I would say cardio is your friend for Kilimanjaro. I remember summit night, and there was at one point, it wasn't my legs that were sore, it was my breathing. So as we were going up, just under 6,000 meters, you could feel your chest getting heavier, and then your ankles, your legs were starting to get heavier. And I remember at some of the breaks thinking all of those 3 mile mornings were worth it. And the final push, when we got up to Stella Point, yeah, at that point you gotta dig in to your reserves. You gotta think about all of the cardio that you've done, and we pushed on to the summit. So yeah, so this is the trail where it all happened. The dream was made. Just a forest trail, and no gyms were harmed in the making of this video because I didn't go to a gym. It was all outside,
And the other thing to mention is the weather. So some days it wasn't as blue sky as today. Some days it was raining, there was wind, it was cold, it was misty. Some days it was this warm, and you just had to persevere with the weather. So I think for me, not being in a gym, you experience all weathers, and you have to build up a certain resilience to that. Also, if you're on a 1 hour loop, you can't just come off the treadmill. You have to finish that 3 mile loop. No matter what, your legs have to find it at 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, whatever it is. So yeah, so this is the trail. This is where the 3 mile cardio was done over and over and over and over. And I was glad on the final push to the top of Africa, top of Kilimanjaro, that I had put the miles in. This is where I went on my long weekend hikes, and I tried to hike between 7 to 10 miles every weekend, and that turned into almost 20 miles by the end of the training period. Basically 10 miles on a Saturday, get back up again, do 10 miles on a Sunday. And very important you get those back-to-backs in, because that's what you're going to do on the 8-day Limosho. You're going to walk back to back to back to back, and you will have put in 5-6 days, and then you're going to have to do some at night. So you have to get in the routine of not having a rest, getting up even though you're sore and aching and tired and you want to have a day off. I didn't do that at the start. It was maybe either Saturday or Sunday, maybe 7 miles, 10 miles. But as time went on and I started building the cardio days during the week, then it was time to push it. 10 miles Saturday, 10 miles Sunday when I could, as much as possible. And the mileage started to increase rapidly, which was great because my legs then got stronger, fitness got stronger, and it all came together eventually. And this is the Forest Park in Tyrone that I used to spend hours upon hours every weekend around the various trails and all weathers. Important you get out on all weathers. If you're committed to 10 miles, if it starts raining after mile 2, you can't turn back. You have to keep going. You got to get your rain gear on, and it's a very important time to get your gear tested, because every little zip, do your rain trousers come over your hiking trousers? What about your waterproof cover for your backpack? How does that go on? What about your phone, your electronics? Are they all going to be safe away from the water? So yeah, very important you get out in all the weathers, test everything out, know where every single zip, button, buckle, everything on every piece of clothing. Is your hat warm enough? Are your gloves warm enough? Do everything fit over? Does your raincoat go over your fleece? Does your sun hat protect you from the actual sun? So you got to test all of that. The other thing as well is your snacks, electrolytes. Snacks, do they sustain you for 2-3 hours, or do we need to make tweaks? So that's the time to test everything, try it out. But while you're doing that, you're getting the strength in the legs, you're getting used to long days, long distances, because that's what you're going to need on the 8-day Limosho route. And as you can see, the sun is shining on us today, and this is where the dream of Kilimanjaro was born. And nurtured and watered and came alive. But yeah, important you get out for those long hikes, supplement those with your cardio, and test everything, test yourself. Know that you can spend a day on the trails without a problem, day after day after day, because that's what the Kilimanjaro Lemosha route's gonna demand. So that's my training tips for Kilimanjaro, the 8-day Lemosha route. I mixed up my long hiking days with some short, quick cardio. Number of days a week, midweek, weekends, long hikes, and important you just get out there and test everything, have the right weight in your pack, invest it in some plates, test out your snacks, your electrolytes, test everything. And the most important thing is it's a big investment to go all the way to Africa for most people, and you want to come home and with the success. So put the work in, forget about everything else. This is your one goal and objective for summit night, making it to the top, coming back with the photograph, coming back with the certificate. You know, don't go half-hearted, you know, don't cut corners, do as much as you can, and at least you can say you give it your best shot. But for most people who give it their best shot, make it to the top. I didn't step inside a gym, did everything outside, in the weather, on the trails. Every meter up, I climbed a meter down, so uphill and downhill was covered, and it worked for me. So it can be done. A gym is not required if you can find the time and you've got some beautiful countryside to come out on the trails. But it depends where you live. If you're in a city, it's different. So if it's been useful, some tips for your training, be sure to check out my other 2 videos, my full kit list for some extra tips there, and also the Lemosha route full trail video. Check out the views and what to expect and what to look forward to, and hope you've got something out of this video, and good luck and all the best for the top of Kilimanjaro.